Hey everyone, it's been a few weeks since I put out a video, and that's mostly because I've been getting super deep into my new favorite tool, N8N. So N8N is kind of like a more advanced version of Make. It's a bit less user-friendly, slightly more technical, but still definitely a no-code platform. And it's got agents functionality built right in. So you can build a lot of pretty complex stuff, and you can do it all within this one platform. So before, when I was starting to touch on agents a few weeks ago, I was building them out within Relevance AI. So the agents were being built in there, and then I might have been building some more complex tools within make.com, and then linking those together with webhooks. So with N8N, you can do all of that within one platform, and it works really, really well. And it's designed for this exact purpose, basically. I still love make.com, I still love Relevance AI, but for me, I'm now going to focus purely on N8N. It's got a lot of benefits over using the two tools. One, it's open source. Two, it's cheaper. Three, it allows you to build at a more granular level. So with Relevance, you're obviously building on top of they've built a lot of stuff which sits on top of the underlying code around agents. So you're kind of building things within their parameters. But here you're getting down to a much more base level, and you're controlling a lot more of the smaller things, and you can really build out exactly what you want, and you've got a lot more control over it. So I'm going to talk through this agent that I've built. So this is what I've been working on. This is kind of like a base level AI assistant agent, which I speak to with Telegram, kind of similar to what I started building out in Relevance before, but I've kind of transformed it over to here, given it a bunch of tools, and this is just, I just wanted to put out a quick video to run through this example to show the kinds of things that are possible. I'll demo the agent, I'll show how it works, and then I'll speak a bit about what I see happening in the very near future, and the other types of agents that we can build, and I'll be putting out a lot more videos at a much higher frequency of all around building agents in N8N. Okay, so we'll do a quick demo. I'll show you the agent in action. So let's bring up Telegram, and then I'm going to speak to the agent with voice. So let's just, for a quick example, let's say, hey, what's on my calendar today? So this is going to use the get events tool to tell me what I have on my calendar today. So I have one event on my calendar today: drinks with Norm MacDonald at 6 p.m. Not really, obviously. I wish. And then you can do a similar thing with creating events. So we'll just say, hey, can you add an event for today at 7 o'clock, which is to laugh at Norm MacDonald's jokes. So we'll go to the calendar and we'll see there's the event, and then you should see this one being created in real time. There we go. So we've also got, that's the kind of quick example of the calendar tool. We can do emails as well. I'll just do a very quick email. I'll do it in text. So we'll just do a quick example there. I've done that in text because I haven't yet set up a contacts database. So you would then plug in to make this truly more useful. You'd upload an entire contacts database into either a simple Google Sheets file, or perhaps into even a vector database. And then I could just say, hey, send a message to Neil asking if he's free for lunch, and you'll then get that context and figure out, you get the correct email address from the database. But anyway, That should hopefully have arrived. There you go. There you go. There's the email. So that's those tools, and then I've got ones around a to-do list. So often I want to just I use Todoist for a to-do list, and often I just want to very quickly. Something comes up and I just want to say, "Oh, must do this." So what I've done is there's a separate workflow here. So these are two different tools: get today's tasks and create task. So this is an example of one. This is a create task. So when it calls this tool, it comes through here. It uses the Todoist module and then sends it back to the agent. So I can just say, hey, create a to-do for feeding the cats. And that should hopefully go through there. There you go, it's added in, feed the cats. This is my to-do list for today, my fictional to-do list. Film YouTube video, edit YouTube video, send invoice, feed the cats. So then let's go back and say, hey, what tasks do I have today? So it's just a very easy way of accessing your to-do list. There's a couple more tools here. So this is create Flux image. So I've just created a simple workflow which will generate an image using the latest Flux model. So I'll say, hey, could you please generate me an image of 5 cats watching television while all drinking milk. And I really have got to stop referencing cats when I do these images. This one should take a bit longer because it's an external. It's going to an external service. So it's this is the workflow. It uses OpenAI to create a prompt for Flux, and it then sends that prompt through using an HTTP request to replicate, which calls the Flux model and sends it back to the agent. And it should probably take around 20 to 30 seconds. And when it's done, it should send us a link to the image. So there we go. Let's have a look. Well, I can only assume there's some kind of invisible television up here, or perhaps we're looking at it from the perspective of the television. But you get the idea. Again, the prompt is probably not developed particularly well. And I've got this last one called Create Note. And this is one that, again, if I'm out and about walking around, I might have some ideas for like a YouTube video or a new automation to build or anything really, and I just want to get it down like on paper effectively, but it's easier to just talk to something. So I can just open up my Telegram app and speak and just I did this one earlier because I didn't want to subject you to a minute of my rambling. So this is what it does is it takes the transcript from the Telegram voice message and then it passes it through an OpenAI module, which puts it into a slightly more structured note. So here's an example one, and it creates a Notion file. So speak for a minute, you get this, and this is just a very this is just refined down. It removes all the as all the kind of filler stuff, but it stays true to what I've kind of said. So this is basically, I was just rambling on for about a minute, and that's what it's come up with. So it's just a way of getting slightly more structured notes down in an effective way. And then last thing I want to run through is the Pinecone vector store. So I think this is cool, and this has got potential to be really interesting. So if you can imagine a workflow that's a bit like this. So first of all, in the Pinecone vector store, I've uploaded a PDF on expert copywriting tips for advertising. And the agent has access to this vector store, and it can then it can pull relevant information through based on like semantic indexing. So I'm going to ask it for some tips on copywriting, and it will understand the context of that, and it will find similar things within the database, and it will bring it back. So this is called RAG, which is Retrieval Augmented Generation. So it's taking a chunk of information that's very relevant, putting it into the prompt to help it come up with a better response. So let's say, hey, can you give me 3 practical tips for writing good headlines for Google Ads? So it's taking that kind of the kind of thing I'm asking. It's now looking for things that are very similar within the vector database, and it's retrieving that, and it's giving me this information. So here's the tips. And then because we've got this Windows buffer memory here, window buffer memory, it has access to previous chats that we've had. So I can reference previous things that we've said to each other, going back to like 10, I think. You can set that to different levels. So then I can say, okay, based on the tips you've just given me, can you please come up with 3 headlines for my new product, which is a combined hammer and screwdriver? Not sure where that came from. So there's 3 headlines. And then let's say, right, I want to actually put some ads out. I want to make some Google ads. So I'll say, okay, can you get me some tips for writing the body copy to accompany headlines on Google Ads? So this is now going back into the vector store to find some tips on writing body copy. You should spit these out fairly quickly. So there's some tips on writing body copy, and then we'll combine that again and say, okay, so using those tips you've just given me and the 3 headlines you came up with before, can you come up with 3 complete Google ads that I can upload into the platform? So we're kind of going step by step here and getting it to construct a Google ad for us using best practices in advertising copywriting. So there we go. Simplify your projects, meet the hammer screwdriver duo. Say goodbye to cluttered toolboxes. Right, okay. Obviously a ludicrous concoction, but you get the idea. These are pretty reasonably well written ads. And now, this is just an example here, but I could then say, great, could you then pass these over to the marketing department and get them to publish them in Google Ads? So it's now going to pass this over down to the marketing department. Now, this is cheating slightly because I haven't actually built this. But I'll go into this in a second. Marketing has received the Google Ads and published them on the platform. There you go. But it hasn't actually, because let's get into that now. So these are examples of potential ways you could effectively, the whole point of this video is that you could build something which can run an entire business. So we've got an agent here. So these are sub-agents of the main AI agent. We've got a marketing department, a sales department, and a finance department. And so we'll just go into the marketing department one. So you can see this marketing department agent has 4 sub-agents. So content, social media, design, and paid ads. And then imagine once you've built this out entirely, then within the paid ads agent has then got sub-agents. It's got a Facebook ads agent, it's got a TikTok agent, it's got a Google ads agent, a Snapchat agent, everything. And each of those has tools like upload ad, create campaign, get ad stats, that kind of stuff. And then they can effectively do anything that a paid ads manager in your company would do. All it needs is the correct tools and to be given the correct information. So at the moment, the prompt for this marketing agent just says, your agent who's in charge of the marketing department, you'll be sent a message by your manager and you should not use any tools. You should just act as if whatever he asks has been completed successfully. So that was just to show this example. So let's look at the last execution of this one. So you can see, went through to the agent, he's checked the buffer memory to get the previous messages, and then he sent it to the marketing department down here. So yeah, so that's that. You can imagine this. You could then speak in Telegram. You could speak to the agent for anything, and say like, please check are all invoices. Check all overdue invoices. Are there any that need to be paid? Are there any that are more than 30 days overdue? If so, send an email chasing up for payment to the relevant companies. And then the agent would then send it down to the finance department agent, who would then give that to the invoice agent, who's got a bunch of tools, and then he would then execute all those things like checking QuickBooks or whatever for invoices, and then sending out emails to companies to chase them. So this is very much an example of the kind of stuff that you could then ultimately go on and build. Okay, so let's get rid of Telegram, and then I'll quickly go through this automation. So it starts with a Telegram trigger. In the same way that we did with Relevance AI, you need to set up a bot using the bot father on Telegram. Then we've got a switch node here. So if voice file ID exists, it goes through one branch, and if not, if text exists, it goes through the other one. So this just routes it. Text can go straight into the agent, and obviously, if it's a voice note, it'll have to be downloaded and then transcribed and then sent into the agent. And we just want to make sure that we set a field here which is just called JSON.text, so that they are both going to be outputted as the same variable, which is JSON.text. So in the AI agent, it can see the text input it gets is JSON.text. Let's have a look at the agent. So this is the prompt. So this is one of the most important things in any agent system is the prompt. It has to be very clear, and you have to outline all the things that it can do. So you give it, generally, even this is quite simple, like compared to how you could do it. So all I'm doing here is basically saying what the role of the agent is. So you're a helpful personal assistant, and your role is to take his input and help him get things done. And then I've listed out all the tools and agents at their disposal. So it's simply just a list of all the tools and a very quick description of what they'll do. So Google Calendar, get events. This tool is used to get events on Neil's calendar using before and after date to filter. Send email. This is used to send a text email from Neil. It requires an email address or email address to send to, subject, and a message. And then it's very important that you give it the time, because a lot of things, if I say like do this, set this meeting up for tomorrow, it needs to know when now is so that it knows when tomorrow is and what date to put it in. Also make sure you get the time zone right, so you set your correct time zone within N8N, and also just referenced it here as well to make sure that it gets the time correct. So then there's a few things you need to give these agents. Firstly is the prompt, and then you need to link up a chat model. So I'd always recommend using Foro for this. This is the most important part of the whole thing. It's the brain, so you want to make sure you give it the best model possible. So I always use Foro, and I'll upgrade as and when OpenAI release more advanced models. And then window buffer memory. You don't have to give it this, but it's strongly recommended, because otherwise the agent wouldn't be able to recall back to things that were said in the previous messages. So as you saw earlier, I was able to say, hey, can you give me some info on this? And I said, right, based on that, can you do this? But without window buffer memory, it wouldn't know what the previous information was. It would just be starting fresh. And then it's tools, one of which is the vector store tool, and this is where we use Pinecone to store all the information that we want the agent to have access to. This is a very simple setup for now because I've just got one PDF in there. But in theory, what you would have in here is all your business information. So let's say that let's say you're running a business. You want to have you want to have every point of data that is possible within this vector store. So you want your CRM data, you want emails, you want Slack messages, you want deal data, you want your company SOPs, everything in there, so that whenever an agent needs to do a task, it can access the relevant part of that vector database and use that to better complete the task. We'll go into that in more detail in a separate video, I think. And in general, this video is not going to be a super in-depth one on the individual parts of this build. I just wanted to be a bit more of an intro into N8N. And then we've got the more regular tools. So N8N recently upgraded itself, so you can now, before you had to call, if you wanted to do create an event in Calendar, you'd have to build a separate workflow like this, and then call the node there, and then send it back. But now they've given it so that you can, when you go to add a tool, it's got these tools that you can now add directly in as tools. So a limited number for now, but it keeps expanding them, so it will keep getting more and more powerful, the things that you can just link in directly to the agent. So just a quick example of one, create event. You have to give it a quick description, so that this is what the description you're giving to the agent, so it knows what this tool does. So it says call this tool to create an event in Neil's calendar. It will just start, date, time, and then date, time, and a title for the event. This is basically the same as what I said in the agent prompt itself. And then down here, this is the key part for these new parts of the new tools that you can use directly with the agents. Use a function called from AI. There's some good documentation on this, which explains it really clearly. But basically, it just says because this tool needs a start date and time. So normally you would put that in, like you'd select it, but here we want the agent to, based on what I tell it to do, we want the agent to figure out what the start date and time should be and put it in there. So using this function from AI, we want it to put in a thing called start, and this is just a description. So it's start, comma, and then description. Date and time that the event should start, and the same for end, and the same for summary. Again, I will go into all this in more detail in a follow-up video. I'm probably going to do a complete build from scratch of an agent like this, where I get much more granular into how to do it, so you can just watch along and build along. But that's going to be a long video. I don't have time to do it in this one. And these are just external. I've shown you these before, so let's have a quick look at the create Flux image one. So when this tool gets called, it sends it into OpenAI. Hang on a sec, what's going on here? Okay, this hadn't refreshed properly. Okay, so the message comes in, it goes into OpenAI, and then we've got this prompt here. So it's just saying, so you're an expert image prompt crafter, and then we just give it an outline of how to prompt well in Flux. Based on this, come up with a prompt for Flux, which will create a good image based on this query, and then the query from the agent is inserted there, and you only return the prompt, and then it sends that prompt forward into this HTTP module. This is calling the replicate API, which we've got set up. Again, I did this exact setup in a previous video using Relevance AI. So I've just basically copied everything across. It's the exact same JSON. So we're just sending the prompt across here. You can see this is the request, and it's taking the prompt. It's sending to the API is being taken from the OpenAI module here, and then it's sending it back. It's sending back the output, which is the URL of the image, which it can then send back to me via Telegram. And these are just the sub-agents that I went through. They're basically just there to show an example. Yeah, and then it just sends a Telegram message back to me, and that is how it all works. So this is obviously an example of one central agent which is kind of called on demand by a user using Telegram. In the real world, you're going to have a lot of different use cases. There's a lot of agents you'll build which aren't called manually by a user by saying, hey, can you do this? There'll be something like, let's take a simple example that a lot of people are starting to use is an email sorting agent. So when a new email comes in, that's the trigger. So when an email is received, send the email to the agent. The agent will then categorize it in one of like 3 or 4 different ways. Like, is it spam? Is it promotional? Is it a important email that needs a response? Is it a customer inquiry? And then it can route those in different ways. So like if it's promotional, it'll file it away in a folder. Maybe it'll summarize it as well and just say, hey, here's the promotional emails you got this week. And you can just have a very quick one-line summary of all of them. And if you're interested in actually listening to what one of these cold emails has to say, you can go and read it properly. That kind of thing. Or it might be when a new lead comes in, we've got a lead qualification agent. So let's say you're getting 100. Let's say you're a business that gets 100 inbound leads a day, and you've got someone who's manually going and checking all these things, all their LinkedIn profiles, their websites. Are they a good fit? Are they right for us? You can build an agent that does all that. So when new lead comes in, scrape the LinkedIn profile of the email address of the person that submitted it, research the company, do a Google search the company on LinkedIn. You can do all kinds of different external APIs to get information on this company, send it all in, and then the agent's got all that information, and then you can say, right, here's our ideal customer profile. Here's the parameters for the kind of business we want to work with. Is this company and person a good fit for us? If no, put them in a separate pile. Perhaps send an automatic response saying, hey, thanks, but I don't think we're a good fit right now. If they're a good fit, then send a Slack alert immediately to like an SDR or someone within the company that can then perhaps call them back straight away. So you've got a 5-minute window. Someone submits a lead, and within 5 minutes you can get back to them and say, hey, come and buy our thing, right? So these are examples of systems that will just, you build them once, they sit in your business, and it just takes care of things as they happen, and you gradually remove these manual tasks from people who are having to do this, and these are the kind of tasks that need to be automated. Like, no one wants to go through 100 leads a day, research on websites. That's not a fun part of anyone's job. People's jobs should be being creative, using your skills to do things that AI cannot yet do. And this is the power of these kind of agent systems. It will create employees, and people in businesses will have more freedom to make more of a difference and really focus on the really, really high value tasks, rather than spend their time doing a lot of manual work. So yeah, before I get on drawn on too much, like I say, I just wanted to put this video out and just kind of do an introduction to N8N, show the kinds of things that are possible at a kind of higher level, and then and hopefully very soon I'll start to release more and more videos on specific agents. Some I'll build in real time, some I'll just build and then I'll just show them, and yeah, we'll explore business problems to solve using this tool. If you want this template, I'm going to make it available to everyone for free. There'll be a link below to my newsletter, so you need to sign up for that, and then all my subscribers will get free access to this template and all the other previous templates I've built and any future ones as well. Also, if you're enjoying the content, please do subscribe to the channel so that you can be first to see the new videos. Also, let me know of specific agents you might want to see built. I'm always keen to hear suggestions along those lines. I'm really bullish on AI agents and the impact they're going to have on the business world over the next few years. And we're right at the start. Like, this stuff only just started existing. So if you're starting to learn about them now, you're ahead of 99+% of the world. And by getting a good grounding in this stuff right now, you're going to be in a really good place to capitalize when more and more people start to take notice of the potential of this kind of thing. Remember, this is as bad as AI agents are ever going to be, and they're already pretty amazing. So yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.